What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Thursday, May 16th. We had a solid day on Wednesday, guys. We nailed our first pick of the day on Milwaukee minus 132. Followed that up with a solid win on the Washington Chicago White Sox under 8. That one was very, very good. We had Arizona minus 140. That one came through for us. We also had our biggest bet of the day, which was the under in the Royals Seattle Mariners game. Under 8, and that one was good as gold. Things got a little bit weird there in the very, very end of the game, but cashed that one, and then we easily cashed the Phillies minus 174. I hope lots of you guys jumped on Phillies against the run line, but regardless, that one came through. Either way, great spot there. And then unfortunately, the underdog that we threw in there was Cleveland plus 136. Things aren't looking too hot for them. I wish we would have thrown Colorado plus 210 or whatever they were in that game in there, because they won in shutout fashion against the Padres. But regardless, we'll take that. 5-1 is a big winning day. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see if we can keep things rolling here on this short Thursday slate, and we're going to take a look at the one NBA playoff game going on tonight. So first, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking today. We'll give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the New York Yankees taking on the Minnesota Twins. The Yankees have won the first 2 games of this series and their last 3 overall. They're up to 29-15 on the year, so definitely having a great time out there. They looked very, very good there in the last game of the series, scoring a shutout, so that'll definitely work. They're handing the ball in this game to Clark Schmidt, who's off to a 4-1 start to his season with a 2.95 ERA, and his last time out, guys, he looked very, very good. He dominated the Tampa Bay Rays. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 0 runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts, so that's definitely the kind of start you like to see, giving his team the best possible chance to win, and that is a game we saw them win 2-0. We've actually seen the Yankees win 4 out of his last 5 starts, so that's pretty impressive. His start before the start against the Rays, though, back on the 4th of this month, he went 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs to the Tigers, so that wasn't exactly a great start, but the start before that was very good against the Orioles. Start before that wasn't exactly amazing against the Oakland A's, but it was good. I mean, he gave up only 3 earned runs, so that's not terrible. If you're giving up 3 earned runs or less, it's probably not that bad of a start. And with the way the Yankees offense has been looking, guys, they have just really been clicking. I mean, over their last 3 games, they scored 4, 5, and 10 runs respectively. Like, that will definitely work. This team has been hitting the ball great. We saw Stanton just hit a home run. Carlos Rodon, he had 6 solid innings there in game 1 of this series, so that looks good. And just in general, the Yankees, they're looking great. We got Juan Soto leading the way in batting average. Aaron Judge has hit 10 home runs this season. He's only batting .236, but that's a number that's definitely on the way up. And we see this team, they're easily top 10 in all the major offensive categories, guys. They're 8th in runs scored, 3rd in on-base percentage. They've got a team batting average of .251, which is good for 8th in the league, and they're hitting the ball hard when they do hit with a .416 slugging percentage. So overall, this is just a very, very solid hitting team. They're hoping they can keep things rolling here against the Twins, who have hit a little bit of a rough patch here. It turns out things get a lot tougher when you're not playing the Chicago White Sox and the Angels every game. Like, they went on that crazy winning streak, but a lot of that has to be due to the fact, I mean, obviously they're just getting some positive variance. They were playing well, but they were also playing against bad opponents. Coming into this game, they're 24-18 on the season, and handing the ball in this one to Joe Ryan, who's not off to a terrible start. The guy's 2-2 with a 3.21 ERA, so that'll definitely work. His last time out, he looked very, very good against the Toronto Blue Jays. He went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, and only a single earned run in that game. He did give up a home run, and yeah, I mean, that's not terrible, guys. We're not going to act like that's a disaster start by any stretch of the imagination. He struck out 7 and walked none in that game. Like, a very, very good start, albeit against a team that's not hitting the ball that great right now. His start before that against the Boston Red Sox was decent, but not great. He gave up 3 earned runs over 6 innings, so that will work, but we're not exactly going to alert the press about that. Before that, he had decent back-to-back starts against the Chicago White Sox, so once again, not exactly like, oh, we're going to throw this guy a parade for having good starts against the White Sox, but overall, this season, not trying to play down. He's looked pretty good this year. The Twins' offense has not been looking too hot lately, guys. Over their last 2 games, they've only scored a total of 1 run. They've only scored 1 run in this series, guys. That's pretty tough. I mean, you score 1 run in the first game, and you get shut out in the second game. not swinging the hottest bats right now. I mean, we've seen this team start hitting the ball a little bit better after having some struggles this season. They're looking like an above average offense, but I think if they end up settling around average, I think that would be more towards what I would kind of expect from them, but it's hard to tell right now at this point in the season. They are still 11th in runs scored, 14th in on-base percentage, and 8th in slugging percentage after having this like pretty terrible little run the last couple games. So we'll see how they can continue going here, but man, getting shut out, not a great look. Scoring only 1 run in game 1 of this series, also not a great look. So when we go to look at the numbers for this game, it's a little bit surprising to see the Yankees minus 112 and the Twins minus 104. I would have kind of thought the Twins would be getting a little bit more love here. Maybe the odds makers aren't in love here with Clark Schmidt out on the mound. I mean, he's looked pretty good lately and in general this season, so that makes sense to me. Maybe they're playing a little bit towards the trend of teams not doing that well when they're trying to finish off like the 3rd game in series. I'm not sure if this is a 3-game or a 4-game series, but regardless, looking at Schmidt on the mound, he looks pretty good. Joe Ryan on the mound also looks very respectable. The numbers for this game we just went over. There's also an over-under of 8 out there, so that's a little bit intriguing if you wanted to look at the under with the Twins bats not looking great, and a good starter out there for both teams, so that looks pretty decent. Guys, I don't know. It's tough to decide who's going to win this game. I mean, I definitely want to side with the Yankees here. They looked so dominant in this series in general, and they're putting a pretty good starter out there, but Joe Ryan has been no slouch. Obviously, he hasn't faced the toughest competition this year, but I don't know. The under also looks appealing given the Yankees are a slight under team, and we haven't seen the Twins swing the bats too well, and we've got 2 good starters out there, so there's a lot to like and a lot to be scared of in this game. Guys, I'm leaning towards the Yankees minus 112 or the under. Will either one of these end up in the pinned comment? It's definitely possible given this is a short slate, but we'll just have to wait and see. Next up, guys, from the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Mets come into this game fresh off another loss. We saw the Phillies come through for us in game 3 of this series, 10-5, so good as gold in that one. Not exactly, as dominant of a game as we would have expected to see, but 10-5 will definitely work. The Mets are handing the ball in this game to Jose Quintana, hoping that he can kind of get things straightened out for them. I mean, they're only 19-23 in the season right now, so things aren't looking too hot there in the Big Apple. He's off to a 1-4 start this season with a 5.44 ERA, so obviously not having the best time. His last game, he got kind of shelled by the Atlanta Braves. I mean, 4 earned runs over 5 innings isn't great, and his start before that was an absolute disaster against the Tampa Bay Rays. Start before that was very good, but it was against the St. Louis Cardinals, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, they're not a very good offensive team, and yeah, in general, we're not super high here on Jose Quintana. I mean, he's a veteran. He's not a huge guy out there on the mound, and he's just not having the best time right now. And neither of the New York Mets, like we were just saying, they've lost their last 3 in a row. They've actually lost 5 of their last 6 games overall, so definitely a tough patch here, and man, their hitting hasn't been great. I mean, they wasted 5 runs in their last game, I mean, losing 10-5, but over their last several games, guys, they've scored 5, 0, 4, 4, 1, 2 runs. Like, that's just not going to work. That's not going to get the job done. We don't see anybody off to a particularly hot start swinging their bat for them this year. I mean, they're down to 19th in runs scored, 17th in the majors in on-base percentage. This team is trending in the right direction to end up being a below average offense. I mean, things just are not working out right now. They're batting .233 as a squad. Like, that's not going to get the job done. They're not hitting the ball hard when they are hitting. So things just not looking very good for the New York Mets right now. And man, it's the opposite for the Phillies at the moment, guys. They are just cruising right along. They're 31-13 to start their season off. That will definitely work. If you'd asked them if that kind of start would be okay with them, I think you would have gotten a resounding yes from Phillies fans. They've just been looking great, just winning 10-5, so they came through for us in that one. And they're hitting the ball in this one to Taijuan Walker, who's off to a 3-0 start with a 4.82 ERA. He's gotten plenty of run support when he's needed it, guys. And through his first 2 starts, he really needed it. But his last time out, he cleaned things up a good amount against the Marlins. I mean, he did give up 8 hits over 6 innings, so that's not exactly ideal. But he only gave up a single earned run. He gave up a home run in that game, but he had 4 strikeouts and 1 walk. So strikeout numbers were a little bit down, but it was a much better outing than he had against the Giants, or especially a better outing than he had against the San Diego Padres back on the 28th of last month in his first start of the season, where, yeah, did not look amazing. Gave up 6 earned runs in that one, 2 home runs. The guy's given up at least 1 home run in each of his starts this season, so that doesn't feel great to me. I mean, yeah, he looked decent against the Marlins his last time out, but my God, 8 hits, like, that's not great. So we don't have a crazy amount of faith in him right now. I mean, he's 31 years old. He's kind of a veteran. He's a big right-hander out there on the mound, so I've got some faith in this guy, but his numbers haven't looked amazing, and if you're going to give up 8 hits, you're very often going to give up more than 1 run, which can be fine when you're looking at pitching here for the Phillies offense, who's just been nuts lately. I mean, they scored 10, 4, and 5 runs over their last 3 games, and they're looking like they might be one of the best offenses in the majors right now. I mean, there's just no way around that. They're hitting the absolute cover off the ball. They're not even missing Trey Turner, who will be out for kind of an undisclosed amount of time. I mean, he went through some agility drills and fielded some grounders before this last game on Wednesday. But yeah, no immediate return in sight, I don't think. But we'll have to see. You never know. Guys can come back unexpectedly. It does happen occasionally. But we see Bryce Harper hitting the ball well. He just hit an opposite field home run, so that's a good look. And yeah, this team is second in the majors in runs scored, second in the majors in on-base percentage, third in batting average, and fourth in slugging percentage. Like, this is just an elite offensive team. There's no way around it. This team hitting the cover off the ball right now. And do we really think that's going to change here? I don't know, guys. I mean, the odds makers don't think so. They've got the Phillies at minus 142. They've got the Mets at plus 120. And while we don't have like all the faith in the world here in Taijuan Walker, we have a little bit of faith. I think he can at least keep this game, like, keep the Mets' very soft hitting bats in check somewhat. And Jose Quintana, man, how is he going to look against the Phillies? I have a lot of questions about how he's going to look in this game. I mean, yeah, he hasn't looked amazing lately, and just not a guy that I'm going to have a ton of faith in, especially going up against the amazing hitting of the Phillies right now. So, guys, go ahead and give me the Phillies minus 142. We're going to keep putting them in the pinned comment. They may stay in there until they eventually lose a game. So, I think the Phillies minus 142 is a pretty good spot. I'm a little bit too scared to take them against the run line, but 142 seems like a reasonable price for this offense with a decent starter on the mound. So, go ahead and give me that. In terms of the over-under for this game, I don't have a huge lean on it. I mean, both teams are showing very small trends that we can't take much from, and I'm not going to be, not going to be leaning either way on the over-under. Just give me the Phillies straight up. Moving right along here, guys, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Rays come into this game fresh off of a win against the Red Sox. They won 2 out of 3 in that series, so they're probably pretty pumped about that. They're going to be, they're 22-22 on the season, so that's not exactly where they wanted to be, but they haven't fallen off too hard. They are 7 games back in the AL East, which obviously isn't amazing, but they're hoping they can hand the ball here to Zach Littell and get things, continue to have things headed in the right direction. Like, this team isn't playing bad right now at all. He's coming into this game looking pretty good. He's 2-2 with a 3.02 ERA, and his last time out against the Yankees, he looked very good. He went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. He struck out 3 and walked 2. So, I mean, not like a dazzling outing, but against the Yankees, giving up 2 earned runs, pitching more than half the game, that will definitely get the job done, or it's really all you can expect against such a hard-hitting opponent. And he's looked pretty good over his last 3 starts. We'll definitely give him that. He did get knocked around by the Tigers back on the 22nd of last month, so that wasn't ideal. But other than that, he's pitched well against the White Sox, the Mets, and then the Yankees. So obviously that start against the Yankees would have been the toughest one, and he stepped up. He looked very good out there on the mound in that one. And the Rays in general have been looking pretty decent lately. The offense, I don't know, guys. I'm not sold on this offense. I mean, over the last few games, guys, they've scored 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, 1. Like, I don't know. That's in series against the Red Sox and the Yankees too. So, like, you would kind of expect them to score some runs, but those aren't the worst pitching teams in the world. So you would kind of expect them to have some trouble. So this offense, I don't know. They're middle of the road right now. That's where they're at. They've scored 176 runs. They're 18th in the majors in runs scored. They are 11th in the majors in batting average and 12th in the majors in on-base percentage, though, so that's definitely something to look at. We see Arozarena not having a great time. Obviously, I mean, his sub-200 batting average is pretty much just a huge nightmare right now. He's coming off a night where he scored 2 runs, so we'll give him that for sure, but he only had 1 hit when he went 1 for 5. He did hit a home run, so I mean, I don't know. Just a lot of guys not playing up to their potential right now for the Tampa Bay Rays offense. And when are they going to turn that around, or are they going to turn that around? It's very hard to know, but man, I'm sure they're hoping they can turn things around here in game 4 actually against the Red Sox, who, yeah, they've lost 2 out of 3 in this series so far, hoping they can earn a split here in game 4. They're handing the ball in this game to Cooper Criswell, who's off to a 2-1 start to his season with a 2.10 ERA, so not looking bad out there on the mound at all. Over his last 5 starts, we've seen the Red Sox go 4-1, so that has to feel pretty good. His last time out against the Nationals, he only went 5 innings, but he gave up 2 home runs, but he only gave up 2 earned runs. Like, those are the only runs he gave up. He struck out 9, only walked 1. Like, not a terrible outing. If you're going to give up home runs, if they're only solo home runs, it's not the worst thing in the world. And in general, the guys looked very good. He has been facing the toughest teams, but I mean, the Twins have been hitting the ball well lately. The San Francisco Giants, been obviously not a great hitting team, but he dominated them. He dominated the Guardians the second time he faced them. So yeah, just in general, Criswell looking very good. The Red Sox offense, though, maybe not looking looking so hot in this series. I mean, they scored 3, 5, and 3 runs, so consistent, but consistently not that great. I mean, haven't seen anybody get off to like that staggering of a start. I mean, Tyler O'Neill was super, super hot to start the season, but that's obviously and very predictably cooled way off. And yeah, they're down to like a middle of the pack offense. I mean, they're 11th in on base percentage, 14th in batting average. They're 17th in runs scored, so they are maybe like getting a little bit unlucky in terms of runs scored, but they're not a super hard hitting team. They are 10th in the majors in slugging percentage, but I feel like playing in Fenway helps those numbers a bit. So we'll have to see how they actually progress going, out into the rest of this season. But yeah, guys, I don't know if this is an offense we definitely have a ton of faith in, but looking at the numbers, we see the odds makers, they've got the Red Sox at -112, the Rays at -108, and we've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Looking at some of the trends, we see Boston is a big under team. We see Tampa Bay is 23, 19, and 1 to the over, but I don't know if they're really going to be scoring a bunch of runs here against Criswell. And I mean, Zach Littell has been good out there on the mound lately too. So this is looking like a possible under spot to me, guys. I mean, neither team really hitting the ball that great right now. They're not scoring a ton of runs. We see Boston's a great under team. I think there's also some value in taking the Red Sox -112 at home. They are only 10 and 11 at home, which is a bit concerning. But Tampa Bay is only 7 and 10 on the road, which isn't great. In general, in this game, though, guys, I like the under a good amount. I don't think we're going to see a ton of offense. I don't think either team's bats are really heating up yet. And while there's been some scoring in this series for sure, I just don't think we're going to see over 8.5 runs. I mean, we scored 7, 9, and 8 runs in the 3 games in this series. So go ahead and give me under 8.5 in this one. I think that's where the value lies in this game. But you could also talk me into the Red Sox -112. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Pirates going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs in an NL Central showdown. We see Pittsburgh coming into this game fresh off of losing 2-3 to the Milwaukee Brewers. They actually lost 10-2 in the last game of that series, so they're probably not feeling too good about that. Also, probably not super pumped about being 19 and 25 on the season, especially after getting off to such a good start to their year. Yeah, things have gotten pretty dark there in Pittsburgh. They're handing the ball in this one to Jared Jones, who's 2-4 on the season with a 2.68 ERA. He's been pitching very well. I mean, his last start was against the Chicago Cubs. He went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 runs overall. He walked 2 and struck out 4, so not one of his best starts of the season. He's probably not super excited to see the Cubs coming to town again. I mean, that start was only 5 days ago, and he's got to take on the exact same team. Like, I don't know. The second time around, you got to feel like guys are a little bit familiar with your stuff. And despite the fact that he had a very good start against the Colorado Rockies, that was back before this little surge the Rockies have gone on. And before that, he got a little bit knocked around by the Giants. So things haven't really been exactly going his way, but also he's not getting hardly any run support. And that's pretty much what you expect these days when you're pitching for the Pirates. They have not been scoring runs lately, guys. Just not looking good at all. They're down to 26th in the majors in runs scored with 161. That is not going to work. They're 27th in the majors with a team batting average of 223. They're just way down there towards the bottom of all the major statistical categories, guys. Like, we're not seeing anybody get off to a good start, really. Over their last few games, we saw them go 2 runs, 3 runs, 8 runs, 4 runs. Like, that's just not a great look. They lost 2 out of 3 in their series against the Cubs only like a few days ago, so that probably doesn't fill them with a ton of confidence coming into this game. And man, if the bats cannot like reawaken for this team, they could be in for a long season. They need the hope that they can like change their ways here against the Cubs, who come into this game fresh off of a series saver kind of against the Atlanta Braves. They won 7-1 in the last game of that series after getting shut out through both of the first 2 games. So yeah, pretty tough look there to go to lose 2-0, 7-0, and then bounce back and win 7-1. So they'll definitely take that. They are 25-19 on the season, but they're in second place now in the NL Central behind the Brewers, and they're handing the ball in this game to Justin Steele, who hasn't registered a result yet this season and is sitting with an ERA of 4.73 after not a great outing against these Pittsburgh Pirates. His last time, guys, he got absolutely shelled over 4 innings, gave up 6 hits, 6 earned runs. He gave up 3 home runs in that game. Struck out 3 and walked 2, like just did not look good, which was a departure from what he's done in general this season, guys. I mean, his first start of the year, he looked very serviceable against the Rangers. Second start, he looked good against the San Diego Padres, who should be a pretty good hitting team, although, I mean, ask the Colorado Rockies how good of a hitting team the Padres are. They're going to say not very good so far, so we'll have to wait and see here on the Padres. But his last time out against the Pirates, getting absolutely shelled, not a great look. I mean, he's got an offense behind him that's been decent at times this season, but the Cubs offense has not been something to write home about this season. They are still 12th in runs scored, but man, they're down to 19th in team batting average, 17th in slugging percentage. They are still 10th in on-base percentage, and they're obviously coming off of a game where they hit the ball well, scoring 7 runs. But in general, in that series, they didn't look great. In their series at Pittsburgh, which now they're going to be playing at home in Wrigley Field, in their series at Pittsburgh, they scored 5, 9, and 7 runs respectively. So that'll definitely work. They seem like they can hit against Pittsburgh starters without too much trouble. And yeah, I mean, they probably feel pretty decent coming into this game. And the odds makers think they should feel decent coming into this one too, as they've got the Cubs at minus 126. That is a pretty sizable favorite number. We see the Pirates are plus 108. So they've got some faith, not some faith, but not a ton of faith here in Jared Jones. But there's one number I'm really looking at, guys, in this one, and it's the over-under. And this is going to be a little bit of a counterintuitive play. Something you guys don't see me take that often, but I think the over is very live in this game. It's an over-under 7.5, so it's a small number. We only need 8 total runs scored, and we've seen both of these pitchers kind of struggle against this opponent. Now, neither one of these offenses are great, don't get me wrong, so I'm not saying this is necessarily a slam spot or anything like that, but I definitely think the over is the value in this game. I mean, we saw Jared Jones have a mediocre start against the Cubs his last time out. We saw Justin Steele get absolutely rocked in his last game against the Pirates, so we're going to go ahead and take over 7.5 in this one. I think this is definitely going to end up in the pinned comment. Yeah, I don't think it'll be my biggest bet of the day. I'm not a huge fan of overs just in general, but this seems like way too good of a spot for us to pass up, despite both teams showing some slight trends towards the under. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Oakland A's going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. The A's come into this game fresh off of a 3rd straight loss here in this series against Houston. Can't be feeling too great about that to go 0-3. They got shut out 3-0 in Game 3, so things are just not looking great in Oakland. They're 19-26 on the season, which is honestly better than I thought they would be, but yeah, things just not looking super hot. They're handing the ball in this game to Joey Estes, who's off to a great start to his season. I mean, it's his only 2nd start of his year, so obviously, you know, he's a young guy. He's looked good out there, but one outing is just one outing. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, only a single earned run, which was a home run against the Seattle Mariners, and he struck out 5 and walked none, so definitely qualifies as a very good season premiere there. Like, very good from him. Career debut, actually, so good job from him. Looked very good out there, but the question is, can he keep it rolling here against Houston, which, I mean, they haven't been the best hitting team, guys, but they've been a better hitting team than the Mariners have been, and the Oakland A's offense has really seemingly hit a brick wall here in this series. I mean, they've scored 0, 1, and 2 runs over their last 3 games. Not looking too hot. I mean, this team went on a little run there. They were playing well, but man, taking on the Pirates, who were slumping and still kind of are, and the Miami Marlins, that definitely helps things out quite a bit. And yeah, the A's offense just not looking great. They're 20th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in on-base percentage, and 28th in batting average. Like, this is just not a great hitting team. I mean, sure, their slugging percentage has them around league average, so they'll definitely take that, but I'm not excited with how the bats are looking for the squad at all. Like, they've lost 4 in a row. There's a reason for that, and it's primarily been their offense. Not that the starting pitching has been insane, but over the last couple games, they've given up 2 and 3 runs, respectively. So that the onus for those defeats definitely falls on the offense. Looking at their opponent in this game, the Astros, they come into this one flying high. They've actually now won 6 out of their last 7 overall, hoping they can be back on track here. We did see Blanco is getting that 10-game suspension for that sticky glove. Must have been some pretty sticky stuff out there if the umps were saying it's the stickiest, what was the quote, the stickiest stuff they've felt or something like that, something pretty funny. So regardless, though, not a great look for him, not a great look for the Astros. He's going to be out for a bit, but in the last game we saw Valdez strike out 8, so that had to feel pretty good for them, and obviously being 18-25 in the season isn't where they were hoping to be, but nobody's really taken off in the AL West, so they definitely got room. They could make definitely charge back up the standings there, and they're hoping they can do that here, handing the ball to Christian Javier, who's off to a 2-1 start with a 4.01 ERA, but his last start was not great against the Tigers. He went only 1 1/3 innings, gave up 7 earned runs. Like, the dude just got absolutely shelled. He gave up 2 home runs in that game. He walked 4. Like, he was all over the place. It was a whole debacle. Like, that was just a nightmare. Hopefully for him and hopefully for the Astros, he can just like throw that one away, come back fresh, and get back to work. Because yeah, that's nothing you can learn from pitching 1 1/3 innings and just getting rocked. So hopefully he can get back on track, which he's been very good this season just in general. And the Astros offense, while they haven't been putting up insane numbers, they've been okay. I mean, they scored 9 runs in game 1 of the series, but then just 2 and 3 runs respectively over the next 2. So not exactly amazing, but they are trending in a positive direction here. I mean, they're 6th in the majors in on-base percentage, 2nd in the majors overall, guys, in team batting average. Like, that's not nothing. They're 7th in slugging percentage. Like, this is a team that's going to eventually start scoring some more runs, and I feel like they've kind of already started that process. I mean, they've scored 9, 9, 2, and 3 runs over their last 4 starts, respectively. Like, not bad numbers at all. So we're not feeling too bad about how their offense is looking right now, and neither are the odds makers, guys. They have the Astros as massive favorites in this one. We've got Houston minus 225. The A's are plus 188, and honestly, with how questionable the Astros bats have looked lately, I mean, they have not been scoring runs, obviously. I mean, they just scored 3 runs in the last game of this series. Not an elite outing by any stretch of the imagination. They did have 8 hits in that game, so like maybe they should have scored more runs, but regardless, we're not super high on the Astros to just like, I mean, Astros minus 225 is just too expensive. We're not interested in that. I don't really have enough faith in the A's to win this game to take them at plus 188, although I think that could maybe be worth a theoretical flyer. If you want to take a look at the over-under in this game at 8.5, I think the under is in play, as there hasn't been a lot of offense in this game. But yeah, in general, guys, I just don't love this spot for either team. I mean, if you're taking Houston, you almost want to take them minus 1.5, which seems a little bit scary because their bats haven't looked so good. And we saw Estes look so good in his first start of the year, so maybe he backs that up with another good start. So maybe the under is in play with Houston showing trends to the under. But yeah, I don't know, guys. If you force me to bet this game, I guess give me the under, but I'm not going to be betting this one myself. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We see the Reds come into this game probably not super stoked about how things are going. They've lost 4 out of the last 5 overall. They're 18 and 25 on the season, so not great. They're all the way down in the cellar in the NL Central. Like, things have just not worked out for this squad, which is kind of sad. I mean, they were an exciting young team in the early goings. We saw Ellie De La Cruz get off to a great start and everything, but man, things have frozen up. I'm not even going to say they've cooled off. They have absolutely frozen up. Just no positives to report here for the Reds, who still apparently haven't confirmed a starter for this game, which is a little bit weird. I mean, we don't know who they're going to go with. Looking at their pitching numbers as a team overall, though, we see it hasn't been a great look. I mean, they're tied for 22nd in the majors with 12 quality starts. They're 18th in the majors in earned run average. And I mean, over the last few games, we did see them give up only 1 run to Arizona in the last game of that series, but the game before that, they gave up 2, then 5, then 6, then 5. Like, just not elite pitching on this squad, or at least that's not what it's looking at like right now. But you're definitely going to want to see what starter they end up putting out there. Although the Reds just had to put Lodolo on the IL with a groin injury, so that's not great. He's on the 15-day IL. No idea when he's really going to be back. So just not a lot of positives for the Reds right now. I mean, their offense hasn't looked good either over their last few games. I mean, they scored 1, 6, 5, 5, 1. Like, it's been maybe just a hair better than it's been, like at the worst it was this season, but man, just not an offense you can be super, super stoked about. And they're not playing at home either, so they don't have the advantage of playing in the Great American Ballpark, which, I mean, I don't know, it obviously hurts the opponent too, but just in general, this team has not lived up to expectations, even though there weren't like great expectations on them. Just in general, not having a very good time. They're taking on the Dodgers, who are currently playing at San Francisco right now, so they're going to have to play at San Francisco and then make the short trip back to LA. But they are currently down 2-0 in the bottom of the 5th, but they've won game 2 of this series 10-2, and they've won the first 2 in this series, so they've got to be feeling pretty good about that. Probably not feeling terrible being 29 and 15, and handing the ball in this game to Tyler Glasnow, who's off to a 6-1 start with a 2.53 ERA. Guys, it's probably pretty easy to be piling up some wins as a Dodgers starter. I mean, his last time out, he didn't get the win, obviously. He went 7 innings, gave up only a single earned run, and had 10 strikeouts. He's had 10 strikeouts in 3 of his last 4 starts, guys, and the other one, he struck out 9 against the Toronto Blue Jays. So he's looked absolutely amazing lately. He hasn't been facing the toughest teams. I mean, the Padres are a pretty solid hitting team, and he looked really, really good against them. He looked very good against the Braves, but his starts before that, during his last 5 starts, obviously were against the Toronto Blue Jays, the Mets, and the Washington Nationals. So he did get shelled by the Nationals, but that seems like it was just a little bit of a blip on the radar, because other than that, he has been absolutely lights out. The guy's just throwing absolute fire out there, looking fantastic. And yeah, no notes here for Tyler Glasnow. The guy just needs to keep on doing what he's doing, and kind of the same thing here for the Dodgers bats, although they haven't scored any runs here through the bottom of the 5th. Obviously, they've still got time left. We've seen Ohtani hitting the cover off the ball. Just in general, this team is insane at the plate, guys. They are a league best in almost every major category. They're first in runs scored with 236 runs scored over the course of this season. They are first in on-base percentage, first in batting average with a 263 batting average as a team. Their slugging percentage is also tops in the majors at 447. This team is absolutely just killing it at the plate right now. And Yeah, guys, it's no big surprise to see them at minus 290. I mean, almost 3-1 favorites in this game is wild even against a Reds team that doesn't have a starter confirmed for this game. I mean, so we can't feel too excited about backing the Reds even at that crazy price. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game, which seems a little odd. I mean, I guess they're banking on the Reds hitters just not being able to put up anything against Glasnow and the Dodgers hitters being a little bit tired after having to travel or something like that. But yeah, guys, I don't have a big lean on this game. I mean, I think the Dodgers are going to win, spoiler alert, but taking them minus 290 doesn't seem super appealing to me. Over under of 8 in this game, I would tend to look towards the over. I mean, they're going to be playing in LA, not at the Great American Ballpark, but I think the Dodgers could easily cover this number on their own, so maybe that's something to take into account. But yeah, guys, this is another game I don't have a big lean on either way. If you're forcing me to bet it, I guess I like the over, but other than that, not a lot for me in this one. Switching things up a little bit here, guys, we're going to look at the lone NBA playoff game that's on the docket for us here on Thursday. We've got the Denver Nuggets going on the road to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves in a pivotal Game 6. We see the Nuggets here with a chance to close things out. Wild series here, guys. Absolutely crazy stuff. We saw the Timberwolves dominate. The Nuggets get dominated in the first 2 games of the series, and then Denver has just stormed back to win 3 in a row and give themselves a chance to advance here. They've got a couple game chance. They got a chance to close things out here in Minnesota, and if they don't win, then they can just close things out on their home court. And man, them not winning seems like kind of a long shot, guys, because they are just looking insane right now. I mean, in terms of injuries, we see the Nuggets are looking healthy overall. I expect that Jamal Murray, yeah, he's on there, but he's definitely going to play. Other than that, they're looking healthy, and man, did they look healthy there in Game 5, I mean, winning 112-97. Like, they just looked great down the stretch in that game. Jokic is looking like the best player in the NBA, and I don't think it looks particularly close. I mean, the guy went absolutely nuts. He went off for 40 points, scoring all those points against the supposed defensive player of the year. Like, Rudy Gobert winning defensive player of the year every year just seems absolutely crazy. Like, cool, he puts up lots of blocks. Like, yeah, but he gets dominated in every one-on-one matchup, it feels like. Like, I don't know, but whatever. We saw Jokic go off for 40 points. We saw Murray and KCP both score 16. Aaron Gordon had another good night. Not a transcendent night like he had in Game 4, but a good night scoring 18 points. That'll definitely work. And we also saw Brown come off the bench and actually look very good. So any production the Nuggets can get from their bench is very, very welcome. They don't get a ton of bench production, generally speaking. And yeah, they needed every bit they could get there. And yeah, they're hoping he can have another good game here against the Timberwolves, who they've got Mike Conley on the injury report here, and it was definitely a problem that he missed Game 5. He's got an Achilles complaint. Obviously, we all know about that. I'm sure you've all been following the NBA playoffs pretty closely. He's technically questionable for this game. What I'm hearing out there, and this is by no means a lock, but what I'm hearing is that he is expected to play in this game. I mean, an Achilles problem isn't something you want to mess around with, but if there's any way he can go, obviously he needs to go for this game to help them extend this series and give themselves a chance to win there in Game 7. Yeah, tough look. The guys looked very, very good, but have to sit out a game with an Achilles. I mean, it's your freaking Achilles, guys. I mean, in their Game 5, I mean, they clearly missed Conley. It was not even questionable. It was tough not having him out there. We saw Anthony Edwards have his probably worst game of the series. Just couldn't get things going. The guy's only 22, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack, but just didn't look like himself out there. Only 1 of 5 from 3, 5 of 15 from the field. We saw Karl Anthony Towns actually lead the team in scoring with 23 points, and I mean, the Timberwolves just didn't look like themselves. I mean, their bench didn't look great. Naz Reid went 0 of 3 from 3. He played 20 minutes, only scored 7 points. He only had 3 rebounds. Like, we saw the Timberwolves not do well on the boards at all. They only lost the battle of the boards by 5, but it didn't feel nearly that close out there. And yeah, just a very tough look. Like, who are they going to have guard Jokic if Gobert can't handle him, and Karl Anthony Towns didn't seem like he could handle him? Naz Reid feels like he has a slightly better chance, but I don't know. I mean, Naz Reid not really known for his defense, so seems like a pretty tough spot for the Timberwolves overall. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Timberwolves are 2-point favorites playing at home, and we've got an over-under of 204.5. Yeah, this is a tough spot, guys. It's very hard for me to find value on this game, really. You might want to be looking a little bit deeper for some player props or something like that. There are lots of other channels out here that cover props way more in depth. But for me, I'm definitely this is only going to be a slight lean, guys, but I'm kind of leaning towards the Denver Nuggets +2 to just finish things off here. I mean, this is a tough game for sure. The Timberwolves, if the Timberwolves don't have Conley, I'm going to be leaning towards the Nuggets. If they do have Conley, maybe I'll be leaning slightly towards the Timberwolves, but I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm leaning towards the Nuggets either way here. they just have looked like so much the better team. Jokic has looked like so much the better player. I don't think he's really out here trying to play extra games, so I don't think we're going to see major let up from them playing on the road. And yeah, I mean, the Timberwolves, it's a tough environment to play in. If the refs really, really let the Timberwolves play, they can make things tough for the Nuggets. But unless this is a really rough and tumble game, I like Denver in this one a lot. And in terms of the over/under in this game, I tend to lean slightly towards slightly towards the over, but I don't have a huge lean on that one either. I mean, we see Denver as a big under team over the course of the season, but 204.5 just seems like a very low number. But it is the playoffs, so we see some lower scoring. So I lean slightly towards the over and slightly towards the Nuggets, depending on what you see out there in terms of Conley injury news. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.